Good evening, everyone. We are live today at Aster CMI Hospital, Bangalore. Today, we will discuss about newborn care during COVID-19. And for that, we have today Dr. Parimala Tirumalesh, who is a senior consultant in neonatology and pediatrics. And today, we'll be discussing about newborn care during COVID-19. So, as we know, we are already 6 months into the pandemic of this COVID-19, and it has already reached our doorsteps. And we know that it is affecting different kind of population where everybody is involved, including newborns, infants, children, young adults, as well as old age people. There are other category of people like expectant mothers, pregnant mothers, who are also being diagnosed with this infection, but whether it is symptomatic or asymptomatic. And that is a worry for us. So, and many of the mothers are very anxious once they are diagnosed with such an infection, and they are also worried about their newborns. So today we'll be focusing about the mother and the baby that regarding this COVID-19 infection. So I'm Dr. Megha from Aster CMI Hospital, working as a senior specialist in NICU, and we'll be discussing with Dr. Parimala regarding the same. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening.
So, ma'am, the first thing I think getting a COVID-19 infection is another aspect, but what we would like to know is how a mother can prevent an infection even for herself as well as a newborn baby. Because even at home, as well as including the mother who's delivering the hospital, first thing what they want to know is what the precautions can be taken for the same.
Thanks for that question. I'm sure this is the pressing question which is there in literally every young mother's head and her family. I'm sure the dad, grandparents, everybody's head as like how do we get through this pandemic, and especially when you're pregnant and when you're expecting a newborn baby to come home, like what can you do from your side, each one's side, what can you do? So before I go into detail, I just want to highlight what is COVID actually. See, COVID is nothing but just like your flu virus only. We are more worried about this virus compared to the flu virus is because in flu virus we know from the time you when you come in contact with the person, within 3 days you get your symptom. So you know you have it or you don't have it. But in COVID we do not know that because the incubation period is longer. You can show symptoms after 6 days, sometimes no symptoms at all, but pass on to people who are vulnerable, especially mothers who are pregnant, newborn babies, and elderly people, so parents and grandparents, they are the vulnerable population. The middle population, children, luckily like children, it affects little lesser. There are some reasons for it, but mainly like they do not have that much of mortality and morbidity like elderly people and this pregnant people. So what we can do is to prevent it from first of all coming in rather than treating. Actually, treatment comes later, but if you can prevent the infection from happening in the first place, that would be the best thing what we could do. So how do we prevent? So before knowing how to prevent, we should know what it is. So the virus generally spreads by the respiratory route. When I say respiratory, when you cough or when you sneeze, or even when you talk, there are some particles which is just coming, your saliva, everything is floating in the air. So that particles will have the virus in it. So because it is a heavy particle and the virus is little heavier, it immediately settles down. So it doesn't stay in the air for very long. That is good for us because if you are at a distance, then it doesn't reach you. So if you're 6 feet away from me and if I have corona and if I'm coughing, you may still not catch it because you're beyond a distance where the virus can travel. The virus settles down. All the virus which is there in the droplet settles down by then. So because it settles down, we also have to be a little more cautious because it depends on which surface it is settling down. So one thing is when you're coughing and sneezing, if you follow simple etiquette like coughing into the elbow and trying not to touch your face and nose all the time because you're going to touch others and other things with the same hand. So if you do this simple thing itself, the virus can be contained. Once it is already into the air, from the next person to stop it from catching, because I said it deposits down on whichever surface it's coming into contact with, you can disinfect the surface and you can wipe clean the surfaces. It dies with simple soap water, so we don't need very fancy disinfectants for that. If you can clean with simple soap water, most of the times the virus goes away. Washing your hands because you touched yourself or some surfaces, you can wash your hands with soap water. So that also will protect because you won't be the person touching something and then touching the mother or baby. So you won't be able to spread the infection. So since you know that it stays in the droplets and the spread is like this, whatever you do to prevent this from happening would be your protective measures. So basically wearing a mask 24/7, all the time you wear a mask, especially if you're getting out of your house, make sure the other person also is wearing the mask. So even if you're meeting your close relatives, you do not have to remove your mask unless you are within your family which is staying together. If you're visiting somebody, do not remove your mask. and hand hygiene, because as I told you, we can also touch something and touch ourselves. So avoid touching your face and nose all the time, and avoid touching your mask also, because the outside of the mask part is already infected. So if you keep touching your mask to correct it, to position it, and then touch your face and nose after removing the mask, that way also it can spread. So avoid touching yourself. And respiratory hygiene is, as I said, cough into your elbows. And other thing is a surface cleaning. So if we follow this and also maintain a social distance, we'll be able to avoid corona from spreading. Because one thing we have to understand is corona is not going to spread through inanimate objects. Though it can stay there, it needs humans to spread from one person to another. So human contact is very much essential. It can only multiply and spread or become serious only if it comes in contact with humans. So if we can break the chain by following all these principles, definitely like we can sail through this.
So, like, there can be some unfortunate mothers who might land up getting this COVID infection. So, every mother's question is like, in case I have an infection, what about my baby? Will my baby will also catch up the infection? Just like, especially if she's due before delivery, something like that.
Yes, actually, before, because we all should understand that it's new. This pandemic is new, so we do not have textbooks, already written books to talk about this much. But the thing is, we can talk with the experience what we've gone through in the last few months. We're already 6 months into the pandemic. So with all the literatures which has come so far and all the experience of other countries, everything, we do know now that yes, the corona can spread perinatally, or vertical transmission, what we call it, that is from mother to baby. So it can happen. So corona can spread through that way, but it is not like 100%. So if 100 mothers are infected, not all 100 mothers are going to pass it on to the baby. The incidence is only 7%. So 7 out of 100 mothers can pass on to the baby. That is during pregnancy or during when the baby is inside. Once the baby comes outside, then it is like any other issue, like just like what I said. So it is like coming in contact with a positive person. Same thing with the baby as well. So if the mother can strictly follow these etiquettes which I mentioned just now, then the spread would be a little lesser.
Okay. And like, what about the mode of delivery? Will going for a cesarean section decrease the chance of infection for the baby?
So this again, I'll have to quote, because this is a thought which many mothers must be having in their mind, like, should I go for section, should I go for normal delivery? Is the risk higher, like if I go for normal delivery to my baby? Because we know that secretions and other things coming in contact, whether it is going to put my baby at risk. So this is a common question which comes to many mothers, and I know many people are making choices because of that, which they don't want to make. But initially, yes, we thought that maybe because vertical transmission is there, just like HIV or other virus, because we can minimize the risk of baby catching the infection by doing the cesarean and removing the baby immediately, drying up and cleaning the baby. So that, but the current evidence, because now we are into it much 6 months, as I said earlier, the current evidence says no, there is no. We cannot decrease the incidence just by doing a cesarean section. The incidence doesn't alter that much whether the mother goes into normal delivery or cesarean section. The incidence and the risk is the same. So the mothers who really want to go for normal delivery, yes, they can plan on it, and normal delivery is not contraindicated because of COVID.
Then like, many mothers want to know like what precautions they can take during the time of delivery so that the baby does not get any infection. Anything mother can follow during that time, whether it is a normal.
Yes, definitely, because say going through delivery itself is a painful process, and now you know that the mother is positive, so all the more so many tensions happening in the mother, worries, other things. So the best thing what they want to do to prevent all this from the mother's side would be to have a good bath even before the delivery is she goes into labor, so that most of the surface things, all that is washed out, and mother can wear a mask, a proper 3-ply mask, not the cloth mask, or an N95 mask. She can wear that to protect, because if she wants a husband or someone to stay in next to her, or even others, even the baby, that way, because as I said, like by talking, by screaming, and during labor pain, by coughing especially, so these droplets are going to stay in the air. So if the mask is there, that spread can be prevented. Anyway, the place would be disinfected, that the hospitals would do it. So the disinfection, other things, the hospitals will take care. And if she follows this much, it should be okay. And hand hygiene. So hand should be washed with soap water, and she can use hand sanitizer, so that even if she's holding her husband or the caregiver or the baby later in her arms, it should be all right.
And once the baby is out, what can be done for the baby? Can it be taken care like any other normal baby? Can the mother hold and cuddle the baby? Can that rooming in can it be practiced? Can we breastfeed the baby?
So breastfeeding I would address, but immediate care when we see the KMC and all that, the recent evidence is saying that they can go for it. They can go for KMC provided whatever precautions I said has been followed earlier on, and so she can cuddle the baby. We need not deprive the mother of it. But if she wants to room in with the baby, then it depends on the baby's condition. So the normal babies and COVID babies do not differ much. If they are, so it is basically we see whether baby has got the infection or baby has not got the infection, because we do not know the status of the baby. In fact, we can sit and discuss with the parents all the options and give them all the options. One option would be all babies, because mother is positive, we would be testing the baby. We would test the baby probably within 24 hours after birth, first time, and 48 hours later we would retest again. So the baby is negative on both sides. The first swab also is negative, second time when they are testing that also is negative, and baby is healthy for 48 hours without any symptoms of COVID. Then that baby can be treated like any other normal baby. So if you do have a caregiver at home who is negative, who wants to take care of the baby, these babies can be discharged home and can be followed up for the next 14 days through teleconsultation for any signs of COVID and reinvestigated if necessary if the baby shows any signs. But if the baby is negative and still mother would want to stay with the baby, so if she is willing to kind of do that, then that also is possible. We can room in the baby with the mother, provided they know the risk of transmission and she is willing to follow all the precautions, everything strictly. But a distance of 2 meters should be maintained between the mother's cot and the baby's cot. And breastfeeding we will elaborate later on. So what precautions she can do during breastfeeding, that we will be taking care. But yes, they can go home. She has to wear gloves, she has to wear mask, and most of the time like wash before feeding. So this and sanitizing. So this has to be followed when the baby is there. So as we all know, baby's defense is very, very low. Their immunity is very, very low. So we have to take utmost care with the baby. So this also is possible. But suppose if the baby itself is positive, so either in the first test or the second test when we are doing, baby turns positive, and then there is no reason why we have to separate the baby from mother. So again, we can give the option to the mother. Depends on her health condition. So if she is fit enough and she is not having any symptoms, she is not feeling sick herself, she is able to take care of the baby, yes, we can again room in the baby with the mother. But if the baby is showing symptoms, baby is positive but having infection, showing signs of infection, then baby will be in NICU isolation room and will be taken care of till the COVID is cured. Once the disease is cured with medicine and other supportive measures, then we can ship the baby back to mother. So this would be the usual delivery plan for the baby.
Okay. And in case if the mother is sick and she is unable to breastfeed, in case she lands upon a ventilator support or a higher support, what best way she can provide the nutrition for the baby if possible? Like what can be done for that?
See, one thing we are doing now is we can go for alternative milk. Only if the mother is even little okay, not completely sick, then she can still express her own colostrum and give for the baby, and we can use that colostrum for the baby for the initial 48 hours or however long it takes for the mother to come out of her sickness. But if she is very sick, like what you are mentioning, then she herself will be unable, she will not be in a position to express or give even with help. In that case, we can use donor milk, which can be used for the baby, and we can wait for the mother to recover and resume breastfeeding. We can restart breastfeeding once a mother is out of critical condition. We can always do that. But mothers who are in between can always express the milk and give it, either the caregiver or if the baby is with her, if she is in a position to feed, she can do it. Otherwise, the caregivers can use a cup and spoon and feed the baby of express mother's milk. Why I want to insist that breastfeeding also can be done, but if the mother is completely asymptomatic, she can breastfeed the baby. So need not have the taboo that I should not touch. She has to use all the precautions, yes, gloves, mask, everything, cleaning, everything. But at the same time, it's not that she cannot touch her baby or she cannot go near the baby. That is not necessary. She can breastfeed the baby, or if she is scared, she can express and use a cup and spoon and feed the baby. So that can be done.
And are these medications safer during breastfeeding, what we used for the treatment for the mother, like hydroxychloroquine and remdesivir? Is breastfeeding safe during those times?
One thing I should admit is these are all new drugs. So we have not used as a routine in a pregnant mother or lactating mother before unless it is absolutely necessary actually. But in the current pandemic, we are using it for all, it's commonly used. The thing is this current studies with the existing literature and all that shows that breastfeeding is still not contraindicated. Remdesivir, one way we are lucky because the absorption of remdesivir orally is very poor. That is why that particular antiviral has to be given through intravenous route only, even to the adult patients actually, or baby when we give for children, it has to be given intravenously. So if the mother's milk, through mother's milk, even if the remdesivir, the antiviral is coming out through the mother's milk, if the baby takes it orally, again the absorption is poor. Baby cannot absorb the drug as well orally. Because of that, the side effects in the baby is negligent. So we can feed the baby even if the mother is on treatment. We can use the breast milk. And one thing I would also like to insist here why we are talking so much about breast milk instead of alternative feeds is because whenever mother has an infection and she's kind of producing breast milk, in the milk it is not just the infection or the virus which is passing through, it is also the fighting cells, whatever antibodies she produced to fight against that virus or bacteria or any infection what she contracted, she produces some cells to fight that. That cells also passively transfers through the breast milk into the baby. So literally breast milk is like vaccinating the baby. So it is almost like a COVID vaccine. So I don't think the baby should lose the benefit of breastfeeding.
And how do we, like once the baby is discharged from the hospital, can we take care of the baby like any other newborn, and what precautions do we have to follow at home? And in which way can we know that the baby is having any infection? So what signs can we see in the baby, like in case it has any infection or it is developed late? Like what can the mother watch for in the baby?
Correct. That's a very apt question and very good question. Basically, when we discharge the baby, I told you like early discharge is not contraindicated. So if the baby is absolutely fine by 48 hours, we can still send them home. But the thing is, the baby needs to be observed for a period of 14 days. So both mother and baby needs to be seen for the period of 14 days. That 14 days, it can be teleconsultation can be done every day. But between that also, when you worry that baby is not well. So few signs you have to look for. One thing is if the baby is having any kind of respiratory symptoms, baby suddenly coughing, changing color, instead of being pink, baby is looking little gray or blue. So that you will have to worry then, yes. And then if the baby is having breathing difficulty, like chest going inside when the baby is breathing, making some odd noises while breathing. So the baby is having any respiratory difficulty in breathing. The next thing is baby who should be active and crying suddenly looks very dull, inactive. We call it lethargy. So baby is all stretched out and looking less active. So then you should be concerned. Jaundice, which commonly happens in babies from second day to 1 week, normally it will be very mild. But suddenly baby looks too yellow, very deeply icteric. Could be a sign of infection, so that you need to take attention about that. And apart from that, even baby having fever, which is very rare in babies. So if the baby suddenly develops fever, or if the baby is actually not passing enough urine, normally they should pass at least 6 times a day, which is good diuresis, what we call it. That means everything is functioning fine there, hydration is fine there, feeding fine. So baby passing less than that, you should be concerned. And baby who was vigorous and feeding and demanding feeds, all of a sudden doesn't feed, even if you offer, baby is not taking feeds, looking dull and not taking poor feeding. So these are all, because babies are not like adults, so they can't tell you that they're suffering. So you do need to watch for any of these things. If it is there with your doctor, immediately consult. And looking at the baby's condition, emergency, you will have to meet the doctor. If all this is not there, your baby seems well, everything seems to be going fine, then the everyday teleconsultation you can continue till 14 days. After 14 days, if both of you are fine and baby also is negative, then you do not have to worry any further.
Then many of them want to know like what are the chances of catching up infection again with COVID, the reinfection rate in the patients, like whether it affects very severely or whether it comes in a milder form. So we just want to know regarding that.
That's a pressing question as well, because we know one sect of people who are against vaccination, immunization and all that, thinking that natural immunity is better. Yes, natural is better, but vaccination is the same as natural immunity. It's nothing against nature's way of giving you the immunity. So basically, the question here would be, if I don't if I had corona, maybe like without following all these precautions, what we are repeatedly telling about, so I go out and try to get the corona. So will I develop immunity so that I don't get it in the future or nothing happens to me. No, that's a wrong thought. Why? Because this immunity is first of all not very long lasting. So even if you have corona, whatever antibodies you produced will be out of your body within 1.5 months or 2 months maximum. First of all, you're going to suffer with corona for a month, and in another 15 days or 20 days, the immunity what you developed is gone from your body. So you will not be just because you got corona, it's not that you are protected against the next thing. So you cannot let your guard off and stop using mask and social distancing and all those things just because you had it. You have the chance of catching it again within 2 months' time, because virus keeps mutating and your immunity is not long lasting. And also this also goes against herd immunity. So it is not like 10 people have corona, they're put together, they will protect other 10 people who have not had corona. No, it doesn't work that way as well. Because as I said, the virus is mutating, changing itself, and the antibodies are not long lasting. In fact, chances are that it will spread it more. So the only way to go through this pandemic is when we probably get the vaccine. So that would take us through this pandemic probably. But till we get the vaccine, only the precautionary measures are the only things. Yes.
Okay. I have a question. We want to know what can a mother do if the baby is requiring ICU care due to COVID? So what the mother can do best from her side for that?
Yes. See, one thing is you have to keep yourself together. It is a very difficult situation. I know people are literally off the roof, actually waiting to explode, and going through pregnancy, you going through this COVID infection on top of pregnancy, delivery, your health is very low, you are at the weakest point of your immunity and everything. That itself is a big thing. And wanting to do everything for the baby and unable to do because the baby is in NSU and you are not able to be there. Yes, that is a very stressful situation for the mother. But what you can do is, main thing is you hold yourself together. So stay strong. You're going to go out of it. You're going to go through it together. You are there for your baby. You have support. Take support of all your family members. Mentally and physically stay strong. Eat well. Exercise. Get some fresh air. Keep yourself healthy. And also you can express your milk and send it across to the baby. As I told earlier, giving your milk itself is like giving vaccine to the baby. You're going to pass on some passive antibodies to the baby, which protects the baby from catching other infections as well, not just COVID. There are other bacteria which can infect, super infection can happen because virus depresses your immunity. So bacteria comes and settles in on top of it. So just giving your milk itself is enough. So you can express your milk, send it across to your baby. I know before holding hands and sitting with your baby for a very long time, that may not be possible, but we all should understand this is a pandemic situation. All are going through the same thing. Many of our near and dear ones are admitted and we are not able to sit next to their bed and hold their hands. But it is okay, it is understandable. It's a passing phase. It's just a matter of few days, your baby is going to recover and come back to you. So keeping yourself together, expressing your milk, sending it across to the baby and staying strong. Taking your family support and staying strong is what you can do for a baby.
And can we offer any kind of mental health support for the mother and caregivers involved in this situation? In which way can we provide?
That's an excellent question. That's a very excellent question, because most of the mothers, there is one particular condition in the mother which is not addressed properly. That is called postpartum depression. Especially in developing countries like ours, we do not have that much of support groups at all. We do not identify that mother is going through postpartum depression, and we kind of tend to ignore it, because many a times what happens is mother is just delivered and the whole house is happy, everybody are very happy, and then if they see the mother always in tears, trying to overprotect her baby, not letting anybody near her baby, and crying for no reason, you just say just a simple word and then she's ready to burst into tears. So when they see all this kind of behavior, the first thing what the elders and the people, kith and kin do is just admonish her. So what is your problem is the first question they feel. What is your problem? Because this is the happiest time of your life. Such a beautiful baby, you're fine, everything is okay, we are all here to support you. Why are you crying all the time? Why are you stressed all the time? Why are you, that is a question. The answer for that is, one thing I would like to stress is, even the mother doesn't know why she's stressed. She herself doesn't know that she's going through postpartum depression or postpartum blues. So she was with the hormone which made her happy, it kept her happy throughout pregnancy. All of a sudden baby is born and that hormone is gone and this other hormone has come up, and it is in a very high level which she cannot control. So it's just a nature's way, and that hormone makes her really depressed. So that is what is causing all these things. So it is main thing is for the family members to know that there is a condition called postpartum depression, and little bit of blues is okay, but if something is going going beyond that, then we need to address it. Main thing is you should not shy away from taking medical help. You have to go for counseling. Actually, it helps. It goes a long way, and you can take medical help when you think you cannot really handle it. But the simple things will really help them. One thing is just taking a me time. Me time is not doing anything connected to the baby. Actually, not arranging the diapers, not keeping everything ready for the next feed, not being stressed about the baby. No, the baby is fed, done everything, so baby is sleeping now. So take, you know your baby's routine, take that me time. Me time is just sitting and enjoying yourself. You can do it for 5 minutes, start with 5 minutes, slowly extend it, go up to 1 hour also. So you can read a book, just sit in your porch and enjoy the sun, or you can listen to music, what you like to do, have a relaxed bath, anything which gives you happiness. Each one, some people who are into art, go into it, start something new. So do something which makes you happy. So it has nothing to do with keeping things for your baby or involving your household people. No, that me time makes you happy. Once you are happy, the people around you are happy. So naturally, you can overcome your postnatal depression. And not to mention, you have to have a good diet, because postpartum, one thing you look at yourself is you feel like you're too heavy, you don't look beautiful anymore, you look very ugly because you're fat. No, you have to let go of all those things. So it's a nature's way of storing fat to give to the baby. So no matter what you do, what diet you do, you're going to have that fat till you breastfeed, and that fat passes on to your baby. So that is how your baby is going to get nutrition. So don't look at yourself and you think like, I'm being a wonderful mother, I have enough, I can handle my baby well. So take it in a positive way, and don't diet. Eat a very healthy meal and eat everything. Don't avoid anything, including fatty foods. Whatever you crave for, eat everything, so that your baby also gets a balanced diet and nutrition through your breast milk. The next thing you do is go do some exercise. Any exercise which you're comfortable with. It can start with just simple walk in your terrace. Then slowly you can go for a little long stroll, but don't forget again your mask and to social distance. Go during when people are not around. So I'm not telling to go to parks and stores or pharmacy or grocery stores, or not like that. Just by yourself, maybe with your baby if you want, in a stroller with a rain cover or something, so baby is not exposed. You can go for a walk or do some exercise at home itself, which you are comfortable doing once your obstetrician clears you. So these things go a long way. Good diet, fresh air, exercise keeps your mental health good. Beyond this, if you're still feeling that, see, one thing is going through postpartum depression. Second thing is knowing that you have corona and the fear that you may give it to your baby or your. I don't think families will treat, but there are families which we are seeing, like keep the moment you say that you're corona positive, you're treated like as if you're untouchable. Actually, totally. Yes, fear should be there. It doesn't mean that completely they have to be kept like an untouchable. So the mother stress increases manyfold. Also go for support groups. Actually, go online. There are plenty of support groups for each and everything, including crying baby to how to change diaper to everything you have. So even this has support groups. Many corona support groups are there. Mothers are there. They go through the same thing. Just share your things with them. Sharing helps a lot. If your family members are not understanding, your support group mothers will definitely understand. They will give you tips and other things, and you feel connected. And also connect to your friends and family, because I know that they cannot come and visit you. You may be away from your parents. They may not be able to come and visit because you're positive. The risk of them getting the corona is there, but still you can Skype them. They can see the baby, they can see you. So just that connection you feel with your close friends whom you wanted to long catch up, your long lost friends, everything, just catch up. Use this time to just connect with as many people as possible. Beyond this, if you still have problem, yes, you have to seek medical help. Do not shy away from that. There is nothing to feel ashamed about these issues, and you have to recognize, yes, that is an issue. Then only you will be able to take help, because if you don't accept it at all, then you do not go to address it. So accept it, yes, this is there. This is a common problem. Many mothers go through it, and I am also going through it. I tried my best. Yes, it didn't work. So now it is time for me to take professional help. So this is very, very important for every mother, not only corona positive, corona negative, just this stress itself, this pandemic itself, and even just normal stress itself, this has to be taken care of. Any other questions?
No, nothing from this.
So I guess we covered most of the things, what you need to do about newborn care during corona. One thing I would like to also stress is mothers who are wondering, like mothers and parents who are wondering what to do if your wife or the mother is not positive. But then you have to still go through the delivery process in a hospital where patients may be there. And after that, with a baby and mother at home without help because of the corona, your parents could not visit, you do not have help, you are left alone. So what to do, all these things. See, mentally don't get stressed. It is like any other infection. So we can, most of the times they recover well and they come out well. And just because you do not have, you need not panic. As I said, like you need not treat the other people like untouchable who's positive or anything. You maintain your social distance, and hospitals have complete precautions. They've taken excellent precautions to kind of separate this, avoid the spread, completely cohort them into two different set, like who are positive, who are negative. Take care of utmost precautions, so you will be taken care of. There are professionals doing it, so you need not worry. You can still walk into hospital. Take your antenatal, do your antenatal checks. Don't miss all that because of the fear of corona, because that is more important. Mother's health is important. So go for the antenatal checks. Do as everything needs to be done, and go for delivery without any fear. If you maintain the basic steps, which we've been mentioning again and again, I'm sure like you can sail through this. And we hope that we get the vaccine soon to sail through this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your valuable time. And we have got very important answers, and we know how to care for our newborns as well as mothers during these COVID times. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.